All right, Facebook, hello, and a good Friday evening to you. It is just after 5:30. Want to give you an update on what's happening with the tropics. We did an update a little earlier this afternoon. We got brand new information, so I want to bring that to you. We just got off our 5 o'clock news, and we are getting ready for the 6 coming up in about 30 minutes. Hope you can join us live at 6 o'clock. Want to talk about the tropics, and while everybody jumps on board here, hope everybody is having a good Friday evening. We've got some rain passing through the area today, and that at least has cooled us off, at least in many of us this evening, so that feels nice. But we do have some active weather to talk about. So let me switch this over and show you what we got. And here it is. So this is Tropical Depression number 19. This will become a tropical storm either tonight or during the day on Saturday. And here's the track for the National Hurricane Center. This comes up on the northern Gulf Coast sometime Monday afternoon into Tuesday afternoon. This will likely come in somewhere along the northern Gulf Coast. And look, here's the cone of uncertainty now. It could stay offshore. It could get into the coastline here Monday and Tuesday, and the Hurricane Center suggesting winds at 70 miles an hour at that point. This could come in as a hurricane, but again, that's going to be a close call for that. But if this track is correct, if the center of the storm follows that line, we will have tropical storm conditions along Alabama's Gulf Coast both Monday afternoon and into Tuesday afternoon. And if whatever the name is, I believe this one will get the name Sally. There's another storm in the Atlantic Basin that could grab that name first. It's either going to be Sally or Teddy, depending on what the other storm developing in the Atlantic Basin gets first. This one could be Sally or Teddy, either or. Just depends on which one gets the name basically first. More of a technicality, whoever wins the battle on that. So we're waiting on the Hurricane Center to make the upgrade, and if that does indeed occur, it will get one of those names. So let me show you what the storm looks like in terms of the satellite and radar. This thing is looking a bit more impressive this evening. Coming into South Florida now, we see the spiraling bands beginning to develop around the center of low pressure there, and that is going to be moving into South Florida and then out over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. The Hurricane Center also mentioned the fact that the wind shear is going to relax just a bit over the Gulf. It's going to be a lot of warm water down there to feed off of, and that could allow for some strengthening. So this is what we're looking at here for wind impact. Now for central Alabama, unless there's a major change in the path, it looks like we'll just see a gentle breeze out of the east or northeast around 10 to 20, which is basically just a nice breezy day. No major wind impacts here. Now towards the Gulf Coast, we're looking at Mobile and Baldwin counties here. Winds 40 to 60 if that track is correct, and that is stretching to south Mississippi as well. So along Alabama's Gulf Coast, this is what we're looking at for Monday and Tuesday. High surf and rip current issues. Also the chance for water spouts and tornadoes along the coast, and winds gusting from 30 to 60 miles an hour depending on the exact track of what should be a tropical storm. I do want to mention, too, we've got two other tropical storms out in the Atlantic Basin. We got Paulette, which should become a hurricane soon, and Renee, which is barely hanging on to tropical storm status. Both of these will remain away from the U.S. mainland. Those will turn out to sea. So, again, that's the latest on that. Just want to let you know what's happening with the tropics. We got what will be a tropical storm in the Gulf over the next couple of days. It comes over the northern Gulf Coast Monday into Tuesday and could have some impact across our local area, but mainly close to the Gulf Coast, depending on the track there. So, again, the Hurricane Center mentioning some uncertainty there. There could be an east or west shift with that path, and that could make a difference in our local weather. So keep checking back with us over the next day or so. We'll continue to monitor this and let you know what's going to happen with that. But right now, it looks like this should be mainly for coastal areas that have impacts. Maybe some showers and thunderstorms across our part of Alabama, but the main wind impacts well to our south. So y'all have a good Friday evening. I'll do another update before the 10 o'clock news if I get a chance, closer to 9:30 or so. So I'll try to get you an update on that, see what's happening then. So we'll see you guys later on. All right, hello, Facebook. All right, it is about 3:45 on this Monday afternoon. Let's talk about it. We got a brand new information now with Hurricane Sally, and the news continues to get a bit worse. Winds are now 100 miles an hour sustained. This is a Category 2 hurricane. So Sally is ahead of schedule. It's been going through a rapid and deepening process, intensification process today, and that has certainly led to some additional concerns for Alabama's Gulf Coast, especially as this thing is getting stronger. Still a little bit of a lopsided storm. If you notice here, most of the convection is over here on the north and northeast side of the storm. There's not as much down here. There's still some dry air being wrapped up into the circulation center. But it is a Category 2 hurricane and getting stronger, and we do think moisture is going to wrap all the way around this thing and cut it off to where it is more of a symmetrical-looking hurricane, and that should happen sometime tonight or during the day tomorrow. So it is now Category 2. Winds 100 miles an hour sustained. Let me show you this. This is the track, and I may have to make some quick changes to this thing based off the information. But again, it's expected to come into the Mississippi-Alabama state line there as a Category 2 storm, and this thing has the potential to be a Category 3 at landfall. In fact, I've got to make a change to this, but because of the way our system is set up here, we have to update these little bars on the side every time a new advisory comes out. So we're looking at winds now forecast to be at 110 at that position there Tuesday afternoon. So this is going to be almost Category 3 status as it comes into southwest Alabama Gulf Coast or extreme East Mississippi. That is troubling. If you're along the Alabama Gulf Coast, we've got a Category 2, potentially Category 3 hurricane making landfall, and that will occur sometime Tuesday night into the pre-dawn hours Wednesday morning. All right, so if you're in Mobile or Baldwin counties, this is certainly not the news you want to hear if you're along Alabama's Gulf Coast. Now, the further east you go, the impacts won't be as bad. Still some serious issues, even as far east as Panama City with storm surge. But in terms of the wind damage impact, and now if you're in Mobile, Dauphin Island, this thing is certainly a serious situation for you, as we have the potential for a Category 2, borderline Category 3 hurricane at landfall. These things change pretty quick. We do note that, and we just want you to keep checking back with us, certainly, for updates. Here's the wind impact, what we're looking at. And, again, for most of central Alabama, we got winds of 10 to 30 miles an hour for Tuesday into Thursday morning. So that'll be Tuesday night during the day. Wednesday, basically a breezy day. For Demopolis towards Montgomery, we got winds maybe 30 to 40. Now, that'll be mainly on Wednesday and Wednesday night. And then the further southwest you go, down here across, we may have to make some changes to this, but Biloxi back towards, say, Dauphin Island, and maybe even as far east as Gulf Shores, you could see some winds over 100 miles an hour down there. And that'll be Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So from southern end of Mobile and Baldwin counties, we'll have hurricane conditions there. Even as far north as Mobile, we could see winds gust as high as 100 miles an hour, depending on the track of this thing, where that eye wall comes ashore. So that's some pretty serious winds, and that will cause some damage down there. But the thing is, it's going to be moving so slow. As it moves further inland in Alabama, the winds really drop off quite a bit. So if you remember back in 2004, Hurricane Ivan that came up through the Gulf Shores and Orange Beach and came quickly into central Alabama, it had a lot of wind with it, but the reason for that is because it's moving so fast, it didn't have time to wind down. This one's going to wind down as it moves inland because it's going to move so slow over land, it will have time to wind the winds down just a bit once it gets further north. So I'm not really concerned for our local area for damaging winds. We're looking at far southwest Alabama for that potential for damaging winds. All right, let's show this. This is your storm surge issues, and this is again for the coastal areas. We're looking at about 7 to 11 feet of storm surge, maybe higher, for places like Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Dauphin Island, Mobile Bay, into East Mississippi as well. That's what we're looking at for there. So for the potential for 7 to 11 feet of storm surge. And I'm going to have to check with the Hurricane Center in just a moment because there may be some changes with that based off the fact that it's going to come in a little bit stronger now as Category 2, nearly Category 3 hurricane. So again, for areas like Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, we're looking at 7 to 11 foot storm surge. We've got a camera down at Gulf Shores now. Let me pull this up. This is from Seeing Suds. If you're familiar with Seeing Suds, where that is, I know with the graininess here, it's hard to tell, but we've already got some coastal flooding happening here along Alabama's Gulf Coast. Incredibly large surf issues already down there. Hopefully everybody's off the beach at this point. Earlier today, there are actually people that were down here on Alabama's coast already. They're just hanging out, which with hurricane coming in, hopefully they made a better decision by now, but this is certainly conditions are deteriorating quickly along Alabama's Gulf Coast. And see if I got Mobile radar up. I pulled that up earlier, and there it is. So here's the center of the storm down here. There's Gulf Shores. There's Mobile Bay right there. And this thing is going to take its time coming in. I'll do a loop on this, and I think I just set this up. Let me change the loop time just for a moment. There we go. You see the spiraling bands. Now, here's your eye wall. This is where the most intense winds are, and it's still a good 100 miles or so offshore. But again, this is going to be creeping up to the coast over the next 24 hours. This is slow-moving hurricane. I do want to mention this, too. We've got hurricane warnings, obviously, for Mobile and Baldwin counties in southwest Alabama. Inland tropical storm warnings for Choctaw, Clark, and Washington counties, where there's going to be tropical storm winds. We'll see. They may want to add a couple more counties up here, maybe Monroe, Wilcox, and Marengo for the possibility of tropical storm conditions down there. But again, further inland you go, the winds are really going to drop off quick. We'll check out the winds now. And again, wind's not a major factor yet on the coast. We got just winds 10, 20 miles an hour down there now. But that will be greatly increasing with time. So again, just to reiterate for people just now joining us on here, we've got a strengthening hurricane. This is now a Category 2 storm, winds 100 miles an hour sustained, and this is expected to continue to strengthen as it moves towards the Gulf Coast of Alabama and Mississippi. So it's moving that away, and it looks like it's going to make a direct impact along Alabama's Gulf Coast coming up tomorrow night into early Wednesday morning. And just for a little bit of personal side, I've actually got a beach trip planned down there at Gulf Shores this weekend. I was going to be off Friday and Saturday and Sunday, so I'll be down there this coming up weekend. Hopefully by then things will be okay and back to normal, but we'll see. We'll see how strong this thing can get. We're hoping this thing will level off and not get as strong. There's no doubt it's an intensification process now, and we're hoping this thing will level off just a bit. And that is possible. Again, we've got this little dry air intrusion down here on the south side of that. We really want this to cut off your circulation, allow this thing to at least stay steady, if not weaken a little bit. But again, all indications are this thing will gradually continue to strengthen up to landfall. So for the Alabama Gulf Coast, this is the impacts for places like Dauphin Island, Mobile Bay, down towards Gulf Shores, Orange Beach. We've got hurricane conditions Tuesday into Wednesday morning. Flooding rains of 12 to 20 inches down there. Storm surge. Again, I had 6 to 10 feet. Now about 7 to 11 feet. Obviously, wind damage down there. Isolated tornadoes and winds of 60 to 100 miles an hour. Maybe higher than that in that eye wall. So wherever the eye wall comes in, those winds could be stronger than that. Quickly, I want to talk about our local weather, too. The reason I haven't focused a lot on central Alabama is because the main impacts for the damaging winds are going to be down over the coast area. For our area, we're concerned about flooding. There's a flash flood watch in effect for areas basically along and south of Interstate 59. So for Livingston to Tuscaloosa to Birmingham to Gadsden, that's where we have the potential for flooding. Let me show you the rainfall totals here. Across central Alabama, we're looking at totals of around 6 to 9 inches for areas generally east of Demopolis and east of Brent, Centerville, including the Montgomery area. For Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, we're looking at 5 to 6 inches of rainfall, and there's going to be a sharp gradient to the north, and this could change a little bit, by the way. I want to mention that. While we're saying for places like Demopolis, Birmingham, Gadsden, and Tuscaloosa, 5 to 6, so this thing, if it shifts further east, our totals are going to be lower, much lower potentially. But if it shifts further west, then those totals will increase. So just understand, if you're in these big cities, we're right on that gradient of flooding rainfall versus not much to the north and tremendous amounts to the south. So that's what we're looking at for that. Let me show you, again, the projected path. Just shows you where this thing comes in. Comes into the Mississippi-Alabama border. That would put the eye wall over Mobile County. It would be a close call for Baldwin County. Still a tropical storm as it moves into Clark County over southwest Alabama. At that point, let me check. The winds would be, where is that? 65 miles an hour. Winds would still be about 65 miles an hour at that position there Wednesday morning. That is over the Tombigbee River down there just below Jackson. So still 65 mile an hour winds over Jackson, Alabama. Then it moves into Montgomery as a tropical depression with just basically a lot of rain and gusty winds at that point. So again, for folks just joining us, let me show you the wind. We're looking at, for most of central Alabama, 10 to 30 mile an hour winds, which isn't a big deal. 30 to 40 down here for Demopolis, Montgomery, points south. Down here in portions of Washington and Clark, Monroe counties are looking at 40 to 60 mile an hour winds. That's basically below Thomasville. And then Mobile, the city, we're looking at 60 to 100 mile an hour winds. And then down here over the coast from Biloxi to Dauphin Island, potentially as far east as Gulf Shores, we're looking at 100 plus mile an hour winds. So, and those are sustained winds. Gusts could be in excess of 115 to 120 down there, which will obviously cause some problems. So again, this is a changing situation. We want you to keep checking back with us. Just want you to let you know what's the latest on that. Hopefully this thing will level off and not get any stronger. Certainly can't guarantee that. This thing could continue to strengthen as it comes in. And looks like a fairly strong hurricane coming to the central Gulf Coast. Now, this is, if you remember back in 2004, we had a category, top end category 3, bottom end category 4 hurricane. You could argue that came into Alabama's Gulf Coast. That was Hurricane Ivan in 2004, and that did tremendous amounts of damage. This storm is smaller than Ivan. Ivan was a larger storm as it came in. The wind impacts went further inland. With Ivan, these wind impacts are going to be more concentrated at the coast in terms of the damage and wind potential. So for southwest Alabama, basically Thomasville points south, that's where we're going to have the tree and power line damage issues down there. For our coverage area, we're going to get a lot of rainfall out of this and breezy conditions. But one good thing about the path of this, it arcs back to the east and more towards Montgomery after landfall, and that will keep the tornado risk well south of our area. I don't think we'll have any tornado potential here across central Alabama. So a lot of rain and breezy conditions. Flooding is a big potential for central Alabama, especially towards, say, Montgomery and Demopolis and Clanton. Areas like that could seriously get a lot of rain out of this, depending on how this thing sets up. So anyway, I've got to go get ready for the 5 o'clock news coming up in about an hour. Hope you can join us for that. And I know a lot of people are just now popping on here. Apologize for not reading comments, because I know there's just a lot to talk about, quite frankly. But I went over everything I know and didn't talk about what I don't know. So everything I know, I told you. And again, this will continue to change. If you will go back to the WVUA 23 Facebook page, I'm going to post this as soon as I'm done here. So you can rewatch that. I went over everything, timelines and everything. So I hope y'all have a safe Monday evening. I'll have another update coming up at, let's see, I'll try to do another update at, let's see, 5:30. If I get a chance between the 5 and 6, I'll do another update, and then after that. So we'll continue to bring you information. Hope you can keep checking back with us for details, and we'll get through this thing. All right, so we'll see you guys later on. All right, hello, Facebook. It is about 9 o'clock on this Tuesday evening. Richard Scott here. Let's talk about what's happening. It does look like Hurricane Sally is trying to get a little bit stronger again. Tonight we've been looking at reconnaissance aircraft. Hurricane hunters are in the storm now, and pressures are falling quite a bit. I think last report down to 972 millibars. Winds have increased to 85 miles an hour. Now, that's still a Category 1 hurricane, but the problem is the strengthening may actually continue up through the landfall. And landfall is going to happen very early tomorrow morning, the pre-dawn hours. That'll be along Alabama's Gulf Coast. So, again, a lot to talk about. So let me switch this camera around, and I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday night. Again, here's the storm itself. It's beginning to look better organized. This thing looks better than it has over the past several hours, really over the past 12 hours. This thing looks more impressive. It's trying to close off that eye feature, that eye wall. There is Baldwin County, Alabama. Gulf Shores is almost to the northern tip of the eye wall. That's where conditions are going to begin to go downhill pretty quickly. In fact, we're getting reports of quite a few power outages now in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, and even up towards the Foley area, getting some strong winds. I've heard of winds gusting to over 60 now along the Gulf Coast. In fact, may have some higher gusts than that. I've seen reports of winds over hurricane force on Dauphin Island already, and winds will continue to increase. That's just the tip of the eye wall there, the northern edge of it. So that's what we're looking at. Latest from the Hurricane Center. Again, let me pull that up for you and show you what we're talking about, because this thing is definitely looking better organized tonight, and that's something we have certainly hoped wouldn't happen, but you know, these things can change pretty quickly. So here is the latest stats. Again, it's moving north-northeast at 2 miles per hour. Winds are at 85 miles an hour now. Sustained pressure 972 millibars. And it's coming up on the Alabama Gulf Coast. There's the center of the storm. There's Baldwin County, Mobile County. We got some rain stretching in Alabama. Look, here's the deal. There's no change to what we think is going to happen in our local area. The main impacts are going to be over the southern part of Alabama and the immediate Gulf Coast. Even the Florida Panhandle is going to be the main impacts. As this comes north, it's going to weaken rapidly as soon as it gets over land, and it's going to basically disintegrate into just a tropical depression over South Alabama, southeast Alabama, coming up on Wednesday night into Thursday. This isn't doing what, if you remember back in 2004, Hurricane Ivan came up very similar location to Alabama's Gulf Coast, to Baldwin County. In fact, tomorrow, interestingly enough, is the anniversary of that. That was a top-end Category 3, bottom-end Category 4 when it came in. That hurricane was a lot stronger. It was a larger hurricane. But again, that is not the same type of storm. This is a weaker and a smaller hurricane. Doesn't mean it's not powerful. This is a powerful hurricane. But the deal with Ivan is it kept coming north into central Alabama very quickly. This one is going to move north and then cut east across southern portions of Alabama, most likely below Montgomery. So a path like that will keep the worst weather down here well south of our coverage area. So that's what we're looking at for that. All right, quickly I want to check some things. Let's see. Looking at some of the comments. Okay, got Becky, you're talking about you got some friends and family in Daphne. Trees down there, no power. They're just off Mobile Bay. Hey, Vicki, you're over in Gulf Shores. Hope you guys are safe. You're saying weather conditions are pretty awful down there. Vicki, they're going to get a lot worse within the next 2 to 3 hours. Let's see. We got Grove Hill watching. Hello. Caitlin, you're going to have some pretty rough weather down there, but obviously not to the extent of what the Gulf Coast will see. We got a Northport watching. Gadsden in the house. Hello. Let's see. Hey, Ashley Smith, you're asking about the weekend. So you're heading down to the beach this weekend. The weather's going to be beautiful down there by Saturday and Sunday, even Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no problems there. Caitlin and Grove Hill, you're going to have some heavy rainfall, flooding potential. You're going to have some pretty gusty winds. You may see some winds gusting up to 45 to 50 in Grove Hill. Again, this isn't a major hurricane for you, but again, you will see some pretty strong winds there tomorrow. Let's see. Matt, you're over in Bay Minette, saying starting to pick up now. Still got power, but no damage yet in Bay Minette. Yeah, you're pretty far removed from the stronger winds so far, but conditions will deteriorate there as well. All right. Tanya, you're asking about Sweetwater. You're going to get some rain, just breezy conditions, and that's about it. Hey, Robbie, you're over in Bruton. Bruton's going to be in the direct path of this thing. You're going to see some pretty strong winds down there. That's in the far south Alabama. April, Beverly, you're asking about Linden, Demopolis area. You're going to see a lot of rain there. Tomorrow especially, some gusty winds, maybe up to 35, but I don't anticipate any major issues there. All right, so let me again show you what we got. We got a, once again, strengthening hurricane coming up on Alabama's Gulf Coast. It looks like this thing is going to come in somewhere over Baldwin County. In fact, let me put on the local radar. This is out of Mobile, get you a better perspective of this thing. There's the eye. There's the most intense part of the hurricane right there. This thing, let me zoom in. The eye wall is, again, about to come up on Gulf Shores. In the next 2 to 3 hours, you're going to have hurricane-force winds in Gulf Shores, so just heads up for that. There's Dauphin Island, and based off the track, it looks like it's going to come direct. The eye itself is going to come directly over Gulf Shores, Alberta, Foley, and then go north towards Atmore, and then Bruton. That's what it looks like for you. But the most intense part of the storm is this part right here. In fact, really, this part of the eye wall is the most dangerous because that's when you get your storm surge. We should see water level rises down at Gulf Shores now. And we've seen that all day. Trying to pull up our camera down there and see what we got. Yeah, it looks like from the public beach area, most of the beach is now underwater. We're getting reports of Highway 59 down there by Waterville is being covered by storm surge waters now. That's down there on the north side of Gulf Shores. Here's Highway 59 here. Typically, the Waterville area sits about right there, and you guys flood pretty easily. So again, whenever we have a storm surge, it doesn't take a lot of surge for that Highway 59 corridor to flood over. Let's see. Checking some of the comments here. Elizabeth, are you in Dauphin Island, or are you just talking about Dauphin Island? I hope you're not in Dauphin Island now. Those guys are about to have some pretty rough conditions down there. So again, here's the eye wall. This is the most intense part of the hurricane. It's coming up on the coast now. The eye is down here at the bottom of the screen. That's the eye. The winds are calm down there, but the most intense parts that ring around that. And I'll say this thing looks more impressive by the hour. It's really surprising to see this thing regenerate like it did today. It's basically been on a weakening trend for the past 12 hours or so, and then all of a sudden, right before landfall, this thing begins to wrap up a little bit more and look more impressive. So again, that's going to be concerning for Alabama's Gulf Coast. So, hey, I've got to run. I've got to get some things done before the news. I'm going to have more updates on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. And if you're just now joining us here, go back and watch the WVUA 23 Facebook page. We'll have updates. You can re-watch this whole thing there as well. All right, quickly, let's see. Pam, you're asking about Fort Morgan. Pretty much same deal. You're going to have that 5 to 6 foot, maybe even 7 foot storm surge down there. Water should be rising quite a bit. And hurricane force winds. You may see wind gusts to 90 to 95 miles an hour at Fort Morgan. So that's what we're looking at there. All right, so yeah, go back to the WVUA 23 Facebook page and re-watch this, and I pretty much explained everything that's happening. Again, just to reiterate, if I can say that, for central Alabama, the main impacts are going to be closer to Montgomery. The further north you go, we'll get some rain for Tuscaloosa and Birmingham and Gadsden, but the main potential for flooding will be to the south. The main wind impact will be way down here below Montgomery. So again, this isn't going to be like in Ivan where we have hurricane winds as far north as I-20. This is going to be the wind impact confined to far south Alabama, south of Montgomery, well south of Demopolis, well south of Butler. So again, the wind impact's going to be down here. Yes, it will be breezy tomorrow. I'll say that. It's going to be breezy, winds gusting maybe to 30 to 35, but again, we're not anticipating any major wind impact for our local area because, in fact, this thing's going to turn off to the east pretty quickly. So y'all have a good Tuesday night. Again, we'll have more updates throughout the night of what's happening and the latest information, so keep checking back with our social media sites. Also, at 10 o'clock, we'll have a live update on the WVUA 23. So we'll see you guys later on. Hopefully this thing will stop strengthening and will either level off or begin to weaken some, but right now, based off what we're seeing, it looks like it's intensifying just a bit. All right, hello Facebook. It is just after 10:30. We just wrapped up our newscast on this Tuesday night. I want to talk about Hurricane Sally and the very latest information of this. While we are doing that, I'm sharing this on our other social media pages, so bear with me just for a moment and I'll get that information out there. And again, this hurricane is certainly strengthening, and what we're looking at is a troubling sign. This thing is getting better organized. We don't like to see that prior to landfall. This thing is coming up on the Alabama Gulf Coast and will likely continue to intensify over the next several hours. This does continue to move closer to the Gulf Coast now. And hello everybody joining us on here. And I've also want to mention this. If you've got any questions, ask in the comments. I've got that pulled up to the side so I can see what you're asking there. But here is the latest. Winds are sustained to 85 miles an hour, and the eye wall of the hurricane, that's coming up on Dauphin Island, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach as we speak. In fact, we're hearing reports of winds over 70 miles an hour in gust along the Alabama Gulf Coast. So for the Highway 180 corridor there, in fact, we're hearing reports that Highway 59 is flooded close to Waterville, where that little bay runs through. And we're hearing reports of that happening now. So the storm surge will continue to rise along Alabama's Gulf Coast, and that is something we have been anticipating. Looks like about 4 to 7 foot water rise is likely. And really need to watch this. This thing is really wrapped up in the past 2-3 hours or so. We've noticed this eye wall really intensify here as it gets closer to the Gulf Coast. So really everybody from Dauphin Island to Gulf Shores to even Fort Morgan back towards Perdido Pass, Orange Beach, and even Pensacola's going to have some big problems tonight with this. So anyway, hello everybody watching. See, we got Brody on here, and Michael, how are you? Belinda, hello. Good to see you guys on here. So again, we got a strengthening hurricane prior to landfall, and I have had so many people say they're at the beach now. They're, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Foley. They're actually there now, and conditions are certainly not that good along Alabama's Gulf Coast, and that's just what's going to happen. Hopefully, you guys have hunkered down and get ready for what is happening and what's going to happen overnight. It's going to be a rough ride over the next several hours. In fact, let me check here real quick. And it looks like pressures are continuing to drop. I'm just looking from the National Hurricane Center. They got an aircraft out there now. Let me see what they've got real fast and see the pressure. Looks like we're getting into the 960s, 969 millibars now for pressure. So again, we've got a strengthening hurricane. Every update, every pass they go through this thing, the pressures are dropping. And the winds are coming up. Just trying to see what they've got in the latest wind speed. And we're seeing flight level winds that are above the surface in excess of 110 miles per hour. That is some powerful winds. Now, those are off the surface, but what we're worried is some of that could get transferred down into the surface with this strong ring around this, what we call the eye wall, that's coming inland. So again, Alabama's Gulf Coast is going to have a pretty rough ride over the next several hours. It's going to take a while. This will formally make landfall. Let's see. This will formally make landfall when the center, this part of the eye, touches the coast. But understand, all of this has to get to the coast first before landfall. So it's going to take hours for this to go on to shore. I think the eye itself will be on the shore. Most likely you'll have a clear air in Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Dauphin Island, and Perdido Pass. Most likely around 2 or 3 a.m. you will be in the clear air inside the eye. So I think that's what time that's going to happen for you. But before that, conditions are going to continue to get worse. Let's see. Looking at some of the questions on here. Hey, Becky, how are you? Got Karen on here. Got a bunch of folks watching from different areas. I know a lot of people have interest down here, and that's kind of the reason we want to focus on this. And look, here's the deal. Let me take you into central Alabama. I'll put on Birmingham's radar, and let me just take you to our part of the state. And a lot of questions about what's going to be happening in our part of Alabama. And look, to be honest, there's not going to be much up here. This thing continues to trend southeast. The core of this hurricane is going to track between Montgomery and Dothan. We'll have some rain up here, and it'll be breezy on Wednesday. But in terms of dangerous weather, it's just not going to happen for our part of the state. No chance for tornadoes. In our part of Alabama, we're just going to get some rain at times. And really, I think the flooding potential is beginning to decrease quite a bit for our local area. It certainly looks like the core impacts are going to be well south of our coverage area. Let me pull on our Futurecast model, just give you an idea of what things look like. And Stephanie, your daughter's in Gulf Shores. Can't leave because the roads are flooded. Stephanie, where is she, without giving a specific location, about where are you talking about in Gulf Shores? Is she in a higher structure, or is she close to the ground level? In a condo. If anybody's in a condo down there, most likely you're going to be perfectly fine in Gulf Shores. Even with a 4 to 7 foot storm surge, you would have to be on the ground level to have problems. So I think as long as your daughter is up on a higher rise building, you're going to be okay. So here's our Futurecast model. I'll show you. We'll take you into tomorrow. And again, you got some rain, light patchy rain, breezy conditions. But look how most of the rain stays south of our area. The heavier rain stays closer to Montgomery and Troy, Andalusia, Alexander City maybe, Auburn, Opelika. And we'll even go to Thursday and just notice not much out there. So see how most of the rain is going to bypass us to the south. Yes, it's going to rain for many of us on Wednesday. It should be that light, breezy type of precip. And again, it just certainly looks like the flooding potential is going to be well south of us. So even if you're in Demopolis or Linden or Marion, Clanton, it just looks like the potential for any flooding is a bit lower. I think that's going to stay mainly south of us. And the reason for that is because of the fact that the storm continues to trend east. And as that happens, we've got to make adjustments to what's going to happen here. All right, Stephanie, she's on the 4th floor of a condo. Yeah, she's going to be fine. She'll be fine. 4th floor of a condo, no problem. She'll probably see some pretty interesting weather outside for sure. But, yeah, she'll be fine. We're actually, my wife and I, we're going down to Gulf Shores on Friday. I'm actually supposed to be off on Friday, and we're going to be going down there for a weekend beach trip. We like to go in the fall. This is the best time of year, in my opinion, to go. It's not as many people down there, and typically the weather's not quite as hot. So, again, we're actually going down there this weekend, so we have a lot of interest in there, too. Vicky, your son is in Gulf Shores. Yeah, I can imagine there's some pretty nasty weather down there now. We're hearing a lot of reports of some power outages and flooding happening at Gulf Shores. So let me take you back over to radar and show you what we got. And again, the eye wall is just about, there's the northern tip of the eye wall. It is just about to come into Gulf Shores now. Fort Morgan, even Dauphin Islands could get some of that. And I really think we're going to start to see quite a bit of storm surge once that does happen. And that's when that water level rise really to come up. Again, 4 to 7 feet is what we're looking at right now. Let me check something just for a moment. I'm trying to keep an eye on the hurricane hunters and what their information is. And nothing new just yet. They're passing through the eye of the hurricane now. There's actually an aircraft that is right about here inside the eye of this hurricane, and I'm waiting on them to sample this air over here to see how strong the winds are. So again, hurricane hunters, they basically flew through this thing. They turned around inside the eye, got a pressure reading, and now they're going back. So that's what we're looking at. Hey, Christy, what kind of weather in Tuscaloosa? Just now tuning in. No problems at all. On Wednesday or tomorrow, we're going to have some light rain at times, breezy conditions, but no big impacts for the Tuscaloosa area. In fact, it doesn't look like any flooding issues either. Flooding should be well to our south. So based off the fact this thing continues to trend towards the southeast. All right, hang tight just a moment. Let me check this. All right, we've got a camera that's actually down at Sea and Suds in Gulf Shores. Let me pull this up. The internet is, the connectivity is a little slow down there. This is what it looks like at Sea and Suds right now. This is a live look. And by the way, the wind is not calm. The station, in fact, none of this information is right. The station down there stopped reporting. I'm not sure if they had a power failure or what, but they're not reporting. But that's what it looks like down at Sea and Suds right now. Obviously, water's under the structure now. Large waves. We've got reports of waves, according to Hurricane Center, that waves are over 15 to 20 feet down there. And obviously waves like that are going to crash pretty far out. What you're seeing there is what's left over of the waves, so they just kind of roll in, and that's part of your storm surge too. But again, that's what it looks like down at Gulf Shores right now. All right, let's see. Okay. They're passing through the eye wall now, the hurricane hunters. Okay, I see nearly 100 knots of wind that's at flight level. So, yeah, this thing's getting stronger. No doubt about that. Okay, looks like about 85 knots. All right, this thing's going to be a Category 2. All right, so it looks like this hurricane is going to be upgraded to Category 2. Most likely, I'm seeing 85 knot winds. Pressures continue to drop. So, yeah, it looks like this thing may be a Category 2 now, according to the hurricane hunters that are flying through this thing. And let me show you what we're looking at. I'll move this camera over. And this is their information here. And they're making passes through the hurricane itself. And the blue line is wind speed. The red line is your pressure. And again, there's the eye wall, the peak of the winds there, and the peak of the winds there. Those are the speeds correlate with it. We're seeing winds, again, 95 to, looks like 96 knots or so at flight level. Down to the surface, we're seeing winds of about 84 knots. So in miles per hour, what is that? 95 miles an hour or so. I think that's right, 84 knots. If you can do the conversion, you can do it, but I'm not that fast. But anyway, so we're seeing winds get stronger. And put it this way, so this was the winds in the last pass. Okay, this is when they upgraded winds to 85 miles an hour right here. Okay, the next pass, look how much higher the spike is. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. So it looks like the winds are continuing to increase within this hurricane. So it may be a Category 2 now. So again, that's a live look from sea and suds and Gulf shores. The storm surge is coming in. Conditions continue to deteriorate very rapidly now. We're getting reports of winds over 70 down at Gulf shores as we speak. So just want to let you know what's happening down there now. I know it's getting a little late now. We're coming up on 10:45 or so, about 10:40 on this Tuesday night. We just got off our newscast. I want to just spend a little time with you and let you know what's happening down at the Gulf Coast, because I know a lot of folks have interest down there. Again, just to reiterate, for central Alabama, there's no problems other than some rain and breezy conditions for a local area. All the main impacts are going to be well south of our coverage area, but I know a lot of folks have interest down to Alabama's Gulf Coast, and just wanted to let you know what's happening there. So again, a live look from sea and suds. This is what it looks like down there. Waves continue to increase. Storm surge is coming in. Looks like most of the beach is going to be flooded by now. Most likely we're going to have a surge beginning to get in some of the parking lots now. Some of the roads are beginning to go underwater as the surge continues to come in. And that's the latest on that. So hope everybody down there is staying safe and hunkered down. And look, you know what's interesting about this whole deal, this is the anniversary of Hurricane Ivan. You remember that back in 2004. Now that was a top end Cat 3, almost Cat 4 at landfall. And that came into Gulf shores. In fact, at 1 a.m. is the landfall time of Hurricane Ivan back in 2004. This thing is going to be very close to that same time. A remarkable coincidence, but this hurricane is obviously weaker than Ivan, but it's still a powerful hurricane coming in. So, all right, Facebook, I got to let you go. I got some things to take care of here behind the scenes. I'll continue to update social media, Facebook and Twitter, and we'll get you updated on that. If you're just now joining us, go back to the WVUA 23 Facebook page. You can rewatch this and see all the information. And we did this about 10:30 to 10:45 is the time frame that this was live. So if you're watching this late, make sure you're getting new information. All right, guys, y'all have a good night.